Sometimes I'm a little slow. I mean, I didn't call the channel Bonehead for nothing. Alright, if you suffer through the confusion of, I think it was the last vid, trying to piece together how we're going to do a straight pull, my apologies. For some reason I was hung up on the, dealing with the width of the base of the stock. Instead of, I mean, all of that has the same center point, and all we really care about is where the string actually attaches. Not attaches, but you know what I mean. Which, as it turns out, is about 1/8 of an inch. Maybe a little more. I think it really needs to be, I don't know, like 3/32 off of where the actual string is. After drawing this and redrawing it and redrawing it, I think this was like the 4th or 5th time I've messed with this. I've given up on a template. I'm not sure there's a whole lot of point. I can figure out what I need here, and I'm worried about, how I'm going to move that onto the actual piece. So, I've drawn it several times now. Why not just draw it on the damn piece, and then we'll know what we're actually doing. So, what I did, just inside that walnut joint is the actual neck blank. So I should be able to find string placement up here at the nut, or virtually anywhere, and then do that again down here based off where I want the 2 outer strings to go. So then I could draw my string lines, and then I did kind of stick to the template. However, the template's gotten a little off of the fact that initially I had always planned about 1.25 inches between these and about 1.5 inches between these. Ooh, 1 5/8 inches. I mean, yeah. So with all those things in mind, I could place the points where we want to put tuners so that they should give us as close as we're probably ever going to get to an actual straight pull. Alright, then I know perpendicular to the curve, off of that point, we really need to be not much more than 1/2 inch. So I tried to mark so we could draw new lines. However, it also occurred to me on the original templates, the slopes aren't even. Not that they really necessarily need to be, but there's no point for them not to be. We need to get this ironed out so we move forward. So I think it might look a little better if it's closer to symmetrical. Not that it was off enough anybody would notice. Sometimes when a difference is just so subtle that nobody would consciously notice, then they really subconsciously notice, and it really drive them batty. Okay. So, I think we know what we want to do on that head now. So, as terrified as I am to move on this, I think it might be good to go ahead and drill our tuner guide holes. And then we need to get started building a fretboard. It might also be worth our time to start the initial facets on the neck. So I like to do that before the fretboard goes on, so if that blank wants to move any, it'll do it before we mount the fretboard. It always seemed like a wise idea to me. A lot of, there are times I haven't done it, but it always just seemed like a good idea. And I've been anxious to carve this one anyway, so I think we might do that too. Anyway. Alright, well, with those set in stone, we're pretty locked into shape, so I'm not going to worry a whole lot about it right at the moment. We're going to cut, a little outside the line just to get us to closer to a reasonable shape, and we'll deal with the details later. Alright, it's not essential at this point, but I when we're carving the neck, I want to kind of flesh out the volute a little bit, so I would rather have this cleaned up, partly so I don't have to look at it being ugly, but it's really going to help out when it comes to trying to draw that volute. So once we get a head plate on it, a lot of this is coming off anyway. I just want to get down to a fairly smooth, flat surface. In which case I'm really tempted to break out the angle grinder, but I don't want to fill the place with dust. It's really windy outside and dusty out there anyway, so I don't want to open the door. Plus there's roofers making noise, so given that our truss rod adjustment is not in the head, structurally there's not really a point to the volute. However, the two things. For one, I think it's comfortable, but primarily I think it just looks really nice. Which is why I do one most of the time. I've thought for a while, even before looking at doing this asymmetrical neck carve, that an asymmetrical volute is kind of a cool idea, because I mean most of the time the way you hit it, you're not really symmetrical anyway. But now that we're looking at this asymmetrical carve, I think this is going to be important, or slightly important, but it'll definitely play in well. So this is just tentative. I'm just thinking, something like that. It's going to be heavy on the base side, just like the neck is. At least that's my thought. So we'll see how it goes. Alright, I don't know if it's a mistake. When it comes to doing something like this, like fan frets, I don't I don't tend to go for subtle, It seemed like offsetting from center to about a third, seemed like a good plan. So that's kind of what I'm going with. For initial facets, I drew me a line about a 1/4 inch away from that center line, and a little more than a 1/4 down here, so I don't want to get too crazy. I think, I mean, we're right at depth right now, but I think because we're doing the offset, the peak is going to be not in the center where the truss rod is. I think we've got enough meat that won't be a problem. We'll, you know, still have enough stuff on top of the truss rod to be safe. I don't know why I'm nervous about starting this, because I've never done it before. Normally, I'm kind of following the idea of faceting. I just, don't explicitly do the facets. But this time I think it might be important. Kind of hard to see that line in there. That went rather quick. I am gonna love this. Meanwhile, the truss slot. Oh yeah, good stuff. trying to watch that my file is on my line, and then trying to get this nice and even. So that's our top facet. I'm gonna have to do this again sometime. Shit, this may become my normal. Well, it was a good productive weekend. If you haven't subbed up, make sure you do so. I got some work done on my son's guitar. You're going to want to see that. This is going to be a super cool build. It's going to be a crazy fun experiment with some complementary curves. So, too close to call it now, but I suspect this may be one of the prettiest things I ever make. So subscribe so you can catch that too. Making some real progress. So stick around. Next weekend we won't have roofers. Thanks for joining me. If you like what we're doing, if you're digging it, like and subscribe. Catch you next time.